Hello, beautiful people. This is Freedom Fighter. Thank you for tuning into our channel, Goldilocks Global Banking News. Everybody knows that Goldilocks is the #1 source for the RVGCR. People from around the world tune in to see what Goldilocks is sharing on the RVGCR. Don't miss your chance and get your latest updates every day. So like, share, and subscribe to this channel to get your daily podcast from the Goldilocks articles on the RVGCR. Brought to you by Freedom Fighter. Hello, beautiful people. This is Freedom Fighter, and welcome to Goldilocks Global Banking News. I'm your host, folks. More new people are scheduling appointments with the bankers to prepare for their exchange, to set up their structures to have their wealth managed and grown after they exchange their currency. There's only 8 steps that we share, that all of the success stories that you're hearing are from members who just follow the 8 steps. They don't skip. Sometimes they do. But as long as you don't skip the steps, you will be able to have the same success in time as everyone else. All you got to do is click the link at the top of the description and join the Goldilocks QFS Dialogue Room. We will help you, show you the way, wrap our arms around you with love. Folks, Goldilocks is sharing very insightful information today on Iraq, their latest developments, Vietnam, and ISO 222. Let's jump right into it. So, July 14th, yesterday, was the go live date for the ISO 222 global messaging standards in all of the banking systems. Well, what is ISO? International Standard Organization, which is a messaging protocol in all the banks around the world that are now compliant. ISO compliance, folks. ISO 222 is the messaging compliance protocol whereby XRP will be able to now move through the global banking system, and what technology, digital asset will be used to exchange one currency into the other? XRP. ISO 202 is the pathway. It is the highway of how XRP travels throughout the global banking system. This is how our exchanges will occur through XRP. We need a highway for it to do so, right? If it's going to travel throughout the world in every single currency around the world, ISO 222 is the messaging format. It's the highway that enables it. Actually, this was scheduled to occur in March, but it was pushed back. And so now, as of July 14th, yesterday, it's go live. So, the United States federal banking system through FedWire. The difference, folks, is that before this implementation that went live yesterday, in the new messaging standard, the maximum amount of money that could transfer through the banking system, here in the U.S. particularly, for a ISO transaction was a little over $1 million. Now, it's up to 10 billion with a B per transaction. Not per day, per transaction. So now the flow of money, the flow of digital assets, tokenized assets, can now move through the banking system, the new banking system, as of yesterday, July 14th. This is a major milestone. Now let's get into Vietnam, what Goldilocks is sharing, and then Iraq. It is now coming out, folks, that what Goldilocks is sharing about Vietnam is that there are market upgrades to Vietnam's economy, whereby upgrades and reforms are positioned favorably for Vietnam to be classified as an emerging market, potentially by September of 2025, if the current pace of reforms continues. Meaning, there are many reforms that Vietnam has been implementing with a target to be recognized as a market economy and to be recognized as an emerging market. By September, everything is showing that Vietnam is on pace to be recognized officially as an emerging market by the international banking protocol systems. But guess what? This is not new. Vietnam has been working on this since 2023. There are many reforms, many changes, and most recently, laws, reforms, and the change in Vietnam's constitution so that they can officially be recognized as a market economy by the United States and an emerging market by the international banking systems. Vietnam has done literally, let's say if there's 9 out of 10, let's say if there's 10 things they needed to do, they've done 9. Letting go of their currency is the last Mohican. But there are all indications showing that they have done so, preparing to do so, especially with Resolution 68 for the private sector. If all goes well, which we expect it to do by September, for Vietnam, and remember, for those of you thinking, oh my God, we gotta wait till September. Didn't we just hear the Trump administration say that the tariffs will be complete, all the agreements by Labor Day? So this milestone of them emerging to an emerging market would mark a significant step toward an open market economy, as it will integrate Vietnam more deeply into the global financial systems. And folks, yes, once this happens, it's expected. Once Vietnam is considered a market economy, once they are accepted as a emerging market classification, the Vietnamese Dong will be able to have access to the global markets so that the global markets can determine the value of the Vietnamese Dong. And with that, it's expected for the Vietnamese Dong to continue to float for upwards of 5 years, and every other currency as well. Folks, an emerging market economy, Goldilocks is sharing, can be described as being in the process of transitioning towards an open market economy. And for those that have been following Goldilocks for quite some time, you have seen the facts, the receipts that Vietnam has done just about everything to be recognized as a market economy. Emerging markets are characterized by rapid economic growth, increasing integration with the global banking system, the global marketplace, and a gradual shift from a closed system, meaning a closed banking system, into an open and market-oriented banking system. See, Vietnam has historically closed their borders for other businesses and private companies to come in to Vietnam. Now they are opening Vietnam. And that openness allows the Vietnamese dong to become open to the global world. Vietnam also is being considered in September for their markets, their stock markets, to be upgraded as well, so that the international stock markets and the international investors will have digital access to the Vietnamese economies. This is scheduled for September as well. Iraq. Iraq has just announced, and I quote, "From Iraq, the rise of digital payments in Iraq," end quote. Folks, just so that you are aware, speaking of ISO 222, that also is connected to Iraq. Because with Iraq being a Ripple partner and ISO 222 coming from Ripple, this also is a pathway for Iraq into our banking system for exchanges. The Central Bank of Iraq is holding a tender for specialized licensed companies to provide programs and applications based on technical requirements in what's called Section 5, Attachment Number 7. Folks, this here is another digital connection for Iraq, connecting with the international banks through their international correspondent banks. These actions collectively aim to modernize Iraq's banking system with newer technologies capable, while maintaining transparency, allows them to be capable to move money throughout the international banking system as they continue to modernize. In essence, Iraq is actively seeking and adopting specialized technical solutions to overhaul its banking system, moving towards a digital and more secure and inclusive financial system. With doing so, this gives international investors more security to know that they can come into Iraq and do business. They can digitally do business with Iraq. Iraq and Vietnam are doing the same thing at the same time regarding their banking systems and the digital inclusion into the international banking systems. There's no coincidence that Iraq and Vietnam are doing the same thing at the same time. No coincidence that Iraq and Vietnam and every other country are in the midst of negotiations with tariffs right now with the United States, because all of these countries and their currencies are connected to each other. Just like through trade, they are connected to each other. So understand and know that as these milestones in Iraq, as they announce the new, and this is from the CBI directly, the rise of digital payments in Iraq. Digital payments, folks, includes currency exchanges. Digital payments is another term for exchanges, just as digital payments include massive amounts of money that move through the banking system, withdrawals, transactions, and everything else. And with ISO 222, no coincidence, Iraq has announced the rise of digital payments in Iraq. Folks, stay grounded. The best is yet to come. We are on our way. Be well, be kind, be in love. Take care. Ciao.
Hello, beautiful people. This is Freedom Fighter. Thank you for tuning into our channel, Goldilocks Global Banking News. Everybody knows that Goldilocks is the #1 source for the RVGCR. People from around the world tune in to see what Goldilocks is sharing on the RVGCR. Don't miss your chance and get your latest updates every day. So like, share, and subscribe to this channel to get your daily podcast from the Goldilocks articles on the RVGCR, brought to you by Freedom Fighter.